Warning for the start of this video, there'll be spoilers ahead. If you have not finished playing towards the true ending of Persona 5 Royal, and wish to enjoy the splendor of the narrative presented in it, which I highly suggest you go into blind, click off the video here and now, and then come back in the 100+ hours after you finish the game. You have been warned now. Persona 5 Royal is the first game in my nearly 21 years of gaming where I have been hesitant about going for the true ending of a game. It isn't because of the writing of one ending being subpar compared to the other. It's because of such a well-written narrative and even more well-done characters that I actually happen to put down the controller for a moment and weigh my options, in real life mind you, of the moral implications of choosing one ending over another. Let's talk about it, shall we? Endings in any media are incredibly tough. You have led your audience on an engaging tale, one wherein a good one grips them from day one to this experience where they want to see our protagonists in the end able to triumph in their own personal goals. Some endings fall flat, others question us, and some neatly tie a little bow on a package that leaves us feeling satisfied. Video games, however, have a different dilemma, especially ones where the tales can be far more open-ended, and your decisions not only shift your playstyle, but the world itself. RPGs are damn near notorious for this, with entire items, sections, and endings being sequestered off depending on your choices. A good RPG will give you a good story. A great RPG will give you a good story as well as a varying bevy of different and interesting characters that you want to interact with. An amazing RPG will take it one step further beyond and have you form relationships with the characters. Not actual relationships, so that is an option in this game, but a connection between them. You will see them laugh and laugh alongside them. You'll see them in pain and in turn feel sorrow alongside them. And when they're able to push past their constraints and are able to take on gods, sometimes metaphorically, more often in RPGs literally, you'll feel as powerful as they did. Persona 5, as well as Persona 5 Royal, already gave us that interpersonal connection with each character by design of the social link system. And by design, it's why choosing an ending will be rather hard for some. These characters who you have laughed, loved, struggled, and fought with, would you give them the ending they deserved or the ending they needed? One ending of their comeuppance or an ending of growth through pain? Would you be willing to sacrifice not only your eternal happiness, but theirs for the sake of earning back a place in an unfair, unjust society that will unfairly treat you all like shit simply because of its structure, but where you have your own personal free will? For the people who haven't played Persona 5 or Persona 5 Royal, first off, what the fuck are you doing at this part of the video? That game's amazing, go play it. Out of the way, for those people, allow me to paint you a picture of the game. You and your band of misfits are all teenagers who society has unfairly and falsely persecuted and decided their roles. All your characters, from you, the leader who was unjustly arrested for defending a woman from sexual abuse that was swept under the rug due to the promise of the person you assaulted, to everyone else in the case has been branded, and through anime bullshit are given superpowers to allow them to shift people's hearts to be better people and in turn fix society. There's a conspiracy, betrayal of a teammate, and the eventual big bag coming down to say he planned it all into an omnipotent big bag saying the same thing, but that's besides the point, honestly. What is the point is that as you fight an unjust and unfair society through your superpowers, you're able to interact with your fellow cast of misfits and grow connected to them on a personal level. All of them having interesting stories and personal traumas that not a single one deserves. For the most part. So when you were presented an option to have said traumas not just removed, but altered to the point where they never got them in the first place, with their ideals being matched alongside it, is an absolute gut punch to choose the right option in all this, even if it's the option where each of these characters lose everything they deserve. Your best friend character had to deal with being labeled a thug after he assaulted the sexual deviant who was physically harassing his fellow teammates, not only having said team dissolve because of what he did, but also being crippled in the ensuing fight. The same sexual deviant treating the female students who looked after like playthings, openly sexually harassing them, causing one student to attempt suicide, the best friend of your female best friend character. Your mascot character has to constantly deal with the emotions of who he really is and what he wants to be. Your artist having to cope with not only the fact that his father figure simply sees him as a tool for money, but having to come to terms with the real world politics when it comes to the art world. Your tactician having to bear the all too heavy load of societal pressure demanding she be perfect, as well as coping with a family fallout with her sister upon the death of their father while in the line of duty. Your hacker not only watched as her mother died before her very eyes, into which she was duped into believing it was her fault, as the people who did so did it to gain unrestricted access to her scientific findings. Your heiress having to deal with a father that not only saw her as merely a bargaining chip for financial and political power, but having to deal with running a company that was thrust upon her upon his eventual death. The new character has to live with the knowledge that she caused her sister's death simply out of frustration for always being compared to her. Even the traitor's reasoning, while I don't personally condone it, I understand, as he was born to a father who was able to utterly ignore his very existence into a world that saw him as lesser, simply because of a birthright he didn't ask for. The true final antagonist, after sitting down with all of you, hearing your stories and growing alongside you throughout the game, then offers you all something, not out of malice, or hate, or subjugation to eat puppies while you're being complacent, but as a means of pure, honest goodwill meaning. He erases them. Every situation that led up to those things happening, gone. And not just him, all of Japan seems like it, with his control slowly starting to blossom out into the world. All of your wishes granted. Your best male friend, not only never crippled, but able to take his running capabilities right to a scholarship. Your best female friend, never having to go through the pain of watching her best female friend attempt suicide, while the person who caused it potentially going free. Your mascot character's one dream of being human, granted. The artist who simply wishes to pursue his dream of making art, fulfilled, along with a man who he considered his father, not seeing him as merely a means of profit, granted. Your tactician, not having to lose her father and thus having a rough patch with her sister, granted. Your hacker, not having her mother killed before her very eyes, simply for the sake of greed and personal advancement, and gaining a full family unit, instead, granted. Eris, loving father, able to pursue a small local business as she wishes, granted. New character, fully embraces who she wants to be, granted. Even your traitor, having his past crimes removed and essentially being given a clean slate, all granted. In-game, you are given a week to see this, to see these characters all be gifted with their wildest dreams, to be given a fair chance in a just society that doesn't work against them to make them miserable for the sake of individual greed and power, and then you as the leader of your group have to make the hard decision of taking it all away from all of them. Sure, your own allies come to their senses of their own volition to realize that such a mindset is flawed, but after you have been through so much with all of them, such a wild ride with these characters, it's hard to take it away from them. Make no mistake, however, a world where everyone is just given what they want without strife sounds nice, so much so in fact that my own personal beliefs lined up near tit for tat along with said final antagonist. But the big bad himself even states that that isn't how we as humans grow.
In all honesty, it's best for a person's growth when they tackle their own hardships. But reality doesn't always make that so feasible. No matter how much you try, or work for so long, the smallest injustice can wipe it all out, leave you with nothing. Don't you, of all people, understand that?
We need that strife, that torment, that pain, that agony, that wanting to push forward, the desire for each day to be better than the last, that free will to choose between right and wrong, because in the end, that's what makes us humans and not just slaves or puppets. The main antagonist idea is so tempting, in fact, that in my initial playthrough, I took it. For me, personally, it sounded like a dream world and society that I would love, but know could never actually happen. A world where deviant can't get away with physical and sexual abuse. A world where other people's hard work isn't stolen. A world where criminals aren't able to do as they please with the lives of others. A world where employers don't see their employees as disposable slaves. A world where innocent people aren't tried and convicted for maintaining the status quo. A world where corrupt politicians aren't able to let the world around them perish to live in an ideal society guided by their own wants. A world where a single benevolent entity guides us with a fair but loving hand to protect and serve us without ulterior motives. But after careful consideration, I realized just how wrong that is, and not just in the case of your characters, but to the characters of the other Persona games and even in real life. What right does anyone have to take away others' will and ability to do the right thing and to grow? It's those choices that we make day to day that lets us be human, good or bad. Every moment where we are allowed to decide if I want to do the right or wrong thing, and choosing otherwise betrays every human out there who's working through their traumas and pains and agony to be better. It isn't easy and will hurt literally every step of the way, and at times we will trip and stumble and lack the energy or will to go on our own at least. But at least that choice is ours to make, and with a strong social network of people who have been there, the impossible is achievable. I don't think anytime soon, if ever again, I will be as morally conflicted about an ending as I have been with Persona 5 Royal. With endings like Undertale, it's easy to go for the pacifist route because you know it's the right decision. With this, you're given such an unbelievably hard choice that the game doesn't even fault you for taking it, allowing you to accept it as your own canon ending or reality before moving to New Game Plus. In the original game, I was happy to simply summon Satan to shoot God in the face to save Christmas. But now with this addition, I'm even more overjoyed and happy that a game was able to truly sit me down and question why. However, with that closing statement, I'm out. Again, get this game if you have a PS4. There are a lot worse things you can spend $60 on, at least in my personal opinion. So, let's talk about my ending thoughts in the video game industry. So what's to talk about? Obviously, I hope everyone out there is staying safe and stuff like that. I'm still, countries are reopening, even though we shouldn't be. So make sure to try to stay safe and stop yourself from getting sick, etc., etc. And more video game-based news. Konami is closing down their mobile Castlevania game, which barely anyone knew about in the first place. So, surprise, surprise. Oh, look, our game wasn't able to make stupid amounts of money. Oh, better just toss it. Or no, you could just release a full Castlevania game again. That is an option you can take, Konami. But why would you do that? What else is happening? Apparently Ghost of Tsushima is getting like rave reviews, or at least really good reviews, like 80s and higher. So that's also good. Probably not gonna play it for the channel, but we'll see. Who knows? Who knows? I'm probably gonna play Curse of the Moon too. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do with an LP of that. I think I'm pretty much set in what my next major LP is gonna be. And then after that, I'm going to be tackling one of the toughest subjects I'm going to be ever going to be tackling on this channel. Or I think so. And it's going to be very, very hard, I think, for me to do it tactfully. Anything else that really comes to mind? Nintendo Direct. Apparently there are rumors coming out that all the 3D Mario games are getting like either remasters or re-releases on Switch. So that's good. That's cool. I would love to play Sunshine again. I know there's like a split between whether you like Sunshine or hate it. I'm one of the part people who like Sunshine. I really, really like Sunshine. It's honestly my favorite 3D Mario game, but I understand why people don't like it. But each to your own, right? What else? What else? What else? What else? What else? No, I think that's basically it. I want everyone out there to have a good morning, evening, day, or night, wherever you're at. But for right now, I'm out. Later.